Once you start, don't stop. It's so hard sometimes to get a story in you. You don't want to lose it. Once you find that story within you, you got to stay with it. You write every day until it gets done. Write every day for a minimum of 3 hours every day. If you can write for a minimum of 3 hours every day, Monday through Sunday, you'll be fine.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Writing Inspirations with Markee Books. Here is our new guest for today. Hello Derek Anthony, writer of the Wiccan Chronicles. Hello Derek, how are you?
Hi. And actually as a writer, I go by D.A Barney. That's my writing name.
Thank you for clarifying that. So tell me, how long have you been a writer?
Probably like 35 years. I mean, that's when I officially started, way back in high school. But I think you're born a writer. I mean, I've always, even when I was a kid, I was always writing. It's just, I didn't think that I would end up like this, but I mean, it's just something that I've always done.
Of course. So when did you get professional, if we can call it like that?
When I graduated from high school, I went to film school at the Ohio State University.
Yeah, I read it on your bio on Amazon.
Yeah, I specialized in writing and directing, and then that's where I wrote my first screenplay as a senior. And it turns out I just won a bunch of awards for that screenplay, and that started the whole process. It's what brought me out to Los Angeles, and then I just kept going from there.
Right. So, are you like a full-time writer, or are you doing like a second job right now?
Well, I'm also an actor, and that's why I gave you the D.A Barney, because that's Derek Anthony. That's my acting name. So they're kind of like two different things, even though I've been trying for years to bring them together, but it's not as easy as it may appear to be. So Derek Anthony, actor, D.A Barney, writer.
Yeah, not everyone can be Adam Sandler that writes his own movies where he stars.
Exactly. And IMDb won't put the profiles together.
Yeah, that's true. It actually, I had another screenwriter interviewed today, and he had the same problem because he's a writer, but his books are not on IMDb, only his scripts.
Yeah, and they don't believe that the writer and the actor are the same person, even though we kind of look alike.
Well, there are same face people sometimes.
Yeah.
So, how did you start, your writing experience? I mean, you mentioned it from your childhood. How it was?
I think it really started to click for me as a senior in high school, where my English teacher, he's the one, he always thought that I was very creative, and he always liked what I was writing, but I just made a lot of mistakes. And he asked me one day after class, he's like, I love your stuff, but I was like getting an A for creativity and a D for punctuation and writing and all that. And he said, if you come in after school one day, I can help you fix this. And he's really the first person, and he's one of my inspirations, actually, because he's really the first person who noticed this ability that I had, and he pushed me to, become better at it. And I really owe him a lot, and I appreciate it.
Are you still in contact?
No, I'm trying to find him. He retired a long time ago, but I would love to find him and thank him and give him a copy of these books, because I know he would love them.
Oh, that's sweet. So, are you self-published or traditionally published?
Well, originally, with the first book, The Bewitching of Camille, I self-published that. And just recently, about a month ago, a publishing company picked me up, and so they're going to re-release The Bewitching of Camille, and then they're going to release the next two in order. So I think The Bewitching of Camille will be out probably around 6 weeks to 2 months, and then the second one will come out 6 weeks to 2 months, and then the third and final one will come out of the trilogy.
Right. Wait, you say 2 books?
There's 3 books total.
Oh, okay. I thought that you say trilogy, but I got confused because you said 2 books, and I thought that.
Yeah, The Bewitching of Camille, The Midnight Man, and The Night of the Lycan, which I'm still writing right now, trying to get it done quickly. But I had to take a break because I got to go back through because they're remastering book 1. So I'm going through and I'm doing all the editing with them on book 1.
It's going to be in the release. Are you going to add new stuff, or it's going to be just the same, but with new cover, etc.?
Well, it's definitely going to have a new cover because you guys did that, and beautifully, by the way. But I don't want to say there's going to be a lot of new stuff. The Bewitching of Camille was the first book that I have ever written. I'm more, usually writing television scripts or film scripts. And so I didn't really start to find my writing voice until the second book, The Midnight Man. And so that's when I really started to feel like I'm an actual novelist. So I'm just going through the first one and just kind of putting my little, what I've learned on the first one. I'm not going to really add anything, but just my little sense of humor. There's always my sense of humor as the narrator.
By adding things, it's not necessarily like new stories or chapters. Sometimes even a glossary of terms, a map, some drawings, it helps. People do appreciate that.
Yeah. And all that stuff that you just mentioned is going to be I'm having a brand new website that is absolutely beautiful. It's being made, right? Should be done within the next 10 days. And it has all of that stuff in there. It has a page for the magic. It has a page of glossary and terms and stuff, and all the different locations, and a portal to each one of the books, a separate portal to each one of the books. Really, really beautiful. I'm very excited about it.
Wow, that sounds very good. So what's your writing routine? Like, are you a pre-planner or outliner?
I do a lot of pre-planning, yes. I don't start writing until I know the beginning in my head, but I like to do outlines. I just don't really follow them. I follow them for a little bit, but then once I really think the story clicks within me, then I just go wherever the story goes.
So, is there like another author that inspired your work? It can be anything, not just books. Can be a movie or...
No, there is. It's just I think people will laugh. But I think my 2 biggest inspirations are Dr. Seuss and Edgar Allan Poe.
Honestly, after I saw your cover, I actually thought the same thing. It's like a
Really?
it was like a gothic version of Dr. Seuss.
Well, no one's ever said that before, but I like it. I think Dr. Seuss is the reason why when I started reading Dr. Seuss when I was like 4, and I just thought he was the greatest guy ever. And then when I was in high school, I started reading Edgar Allan Poe, and I said, wow, I mean, those are the 2 people, the 2 authors who have really set me on this journey.
Yeah, my literature teacher also let us read Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad, and he's a very tragic figure, but he was an absolute genius.
Yeah. So, the author for Dr. Seuss, how was his name? Roll something?
What, his real name?
Yeah, his pen name.
I don't remember what his real name is. It's like Harold something or other.
Honestly, I always thought that when I read some of it, I always thought were children from 100 years ago like smarter because it's supposed to be a children's book. But
yeah, definitely.
honestly, some of the way he's phrased some stuff are like very elegant to the point I question myself if a child can actually understand it, or it's he or they are there just for the pretty draws.
Well, I think that's a very good point that you've made. I think with authors like him, I think he helped educate children. It made me want to know more. I didn't always understand, at that young age, exactly what he was talking about all the time, but it made me curious enough to go and try and find out, well, what does this mean? So I could understand it and love it that much more. And I think that sometimes, not all the time, but I think that sometimes that's what's missing today in this generation. They don't really go looking for a lot of the answers. They just take what you give them and they let it go. While with Dr. Seuss, yeah, I was very curious to know, well, what does this mean? Is this real and all that? So I would look a lot of stuff up.
I understand. So I have this question. What was the most difficult thing you struggled with when you started, do your professional writing?
Was the most difficult thing?
Yeah, like you mentioned that you started like writing short stuff, like scripts, etc., before your book. So there's probably did you struggle with something in particular once you actually did a real book?
The format. Writing, it's all different writing.
Yeah.
It's a different type of writing, whether you write a feature script or a television show, those are different. But writing a book is a lot different. But I think the biggest thing that I struggled with at the beginning is the time. It takes so much longer to write a book. And I'm the type of person, I like to stay in it so I don't lose the story, I teach sometimes, and I always teach my students.
No, I
Once you
understand.
get in it.
I understand. In my
Yeah.
case, it's similar. There's people that like wants to write like two books at once or stuff. I can do that. I lost myself. I need to finish one first.
Yeah, and once you get in it, once you find that story within you, you got to stay with it. You write every day until it gets done. And that's always been my philosophy. It's what I, learned at a very early age. And for books, that's very difficult to do, because it could take 6 months, 9 months to write a book.
How long did you take to finish your first book?
The first book took, Bewitching of Camille, took 6 months.
Not bad.
The second book, The Midnight Man, which is almost double the size, I did in 5 months. This third one is the most difficult one. This third one is going to probably be around 10 months.
Well, maybe less. If you do like 3,000 words a day, who knows?
Sometimes it's possible. Sometimes it's more difficult. Every day is different, with writing. And that's why
I know.
You can't judge one day from the next. You just gotta attack it. Every chapter. Some chapters are much more difficult for me to write than others.
So, do you have like a story of how you named your series or your book?
It all started when I was a kid. I used to have a reoccurring dream. It really wasn't a dream, it was a nightmare. I had a reoccurring nightmare, and I've had it for my entire life. And I figured maybe if I can just write this down, maybe I could just kind of expel it from me. And so that's how the whole trilogy got started, with that dream. And the title, The Bewitching of Camille, it came from my agent at the time. She didn't like the original title that I had, and she's like, you got to come up with something better. And so I sat down for a whole day and I just wrote down different things. And then I finally narrowed it down to 5 different titles, and I gave it to her, and she picked out The Bewitching of Camille.
What was the original name?
The original name was just called Wiccans, Wiccans.
I can understand why. There's actually already a book with that name.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I like Bewitching of Camille much better too.
I understand. So, do you like share like a main message on your books?
Well, this trilogy, really the underlying factor in this whole trilogy is female oppression.
If it's about witches, it's understandable.
Yeah, and how they're being kind of oppressed by their own kind, because of they're afraid of the power that they possess. And so a lot of times when people are afraid of something, they try and squash it, make it smaller. And that's what's going on in this book. And then Camille is the beginning of the change.
Okay, so are you planning like writing another genre once you finish this series?
You know, I get asked that question a lot, and a lot of people get mad at me, but no.
That's okay. If you feel like you are like Edgar Allan Poe and like dark stories, then dark stories it is.
Well, I think this is going to be my last book. You know, it's just the trilogy. Yeah, like I said, writing books takes a long time. I mean, you know, writing TV shows, I can write a TV show in about a week, 7 to 8 days. I can write a movie in about 2 months, but 5 to 9 months for one project is a lot. And so really putting a lot into this project, and I hope it serves me well, and I hope people love it as much as I do.
I understand. Can you tell us a bit about your most recent book? You know, the second part.
The second one is called The Midnight Man, and it actually starts 5 minutes before The Bewitching of Camille ends. So it just goes right into it. And it really, that book focuses on Camille's daughter and her journey and how difficult her journey is because of the situation that they're in. And that book really is about her growing up. That book starts with her at age 4 and it ends with her at age 21. So that's, out of the 3 books, that's the longest one. That one covers 16 years. The first book basically covers 4 years. And the last book covers 2 days.
Cool. So tell me, from those 2 books that you already made, which one is your favorite?
And again, everybody will disagree with me who's read the first 2 books. The second one, I think the second one is because that's when I really learned how to write, you know, and that's why I'm going back and I'm, you know, the first one is being remastered now because I learned so much. The second book just really, it's my writing style. It's the way that I write. I told the story my way. And the first book, I started doing that about 3/4 of the way through. And so I think the second one is that much better. I mean, I think what the difference is the first one, it's the story. So it doesn't really matter that I don't think that I was as good a writer as I wanted to be with the first one because the story is so overpowering. That's what everyone talks about. And so when I tell them that I'm remastering this one, they actually kind of get mad at me because they're like, don't change it. It's perfect. It's this and that. But I think what it is, it's the story. It's the story's just so good. While the second one was me and me being able to manipulate the words properly, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So what has been like your top experience with readers? Like, have you seen a reader that you never forgot about?
There's been a couple. With the first book, a lot of people said that they read it all the way through because they just couldn't stop reading it. And that's kind of my writing style is I always end a chapter so that you just want to take a peek at the next chapter. And then as soon as you take a peek and you start reading that whole chapter and then it just goes. So with the first book, a lot of people tell me they read the first book in like one day or one night or 2 nights. With the second book, the biggest comment I get is people cry. People need you need like a couple of boxes of tissues to get through the second book because it's pretty sad.
So do you have like an advice for new writers starting up?
The advice that I give my personal students is once you start, don't stop. You know, I don't take days off. I mean, once I start writing and I get it in me, because it's so hard sometimes to get a story in you. You don't want to lose it. So once you start, write every day and write for a minimum of 3 hours every day. If you can write for a minimum of 3 hours every day, Monday through Sunday, go through holidays, the whole 9 yards, whatever, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I do something similar, just not on the weekends.
Hmm.
Um, do you have like a support network with other authors?
Um, Not really. I don't know a lot of, I mean, my support network is more for screenwriters. I know a lot of screenwriters. I know a lot of actors. I'm relatively new to the author world. And so, like I said, I've been an actor for a long time and I've been a screenwriter for a long time. And I just, over the past couple of years, started this trilogy. So no, I don't really think I have a support network from them, but my support network from the other things is vast.
Do you have like an advice for people looking for a publisher or for a book cover?
I wish I did. I mean, it took everything I had to get this one. When I had my agent, that first agent who helped me with the title, uh, every publisher turned me down because my book is it's a mix between young adult and adult, and they didn't want that. And so they wanted me to change it to be strictly young adult. And I didn't want to do that. So they all turned me down. So it was very, very difficult. I mean, I actually kind of gave up on it. And that's why I self published the first book myself.
I don't think that's a problem. I mean, young adult and adult, it's not that fundamentally different. So I don't see why they say no.
Yeah, it was 8 different publishers. They all gave me notes. They all loved the first book and they all said no because of that. Well, one of them didn't like it, but all the other ones, the other 7, they wanted young adult because they say young adult sells better than adult.
It does.
Yeah.
That's a fundamental truth.
And for
Uh,
what the genre that I was writing, they thought it fit more into young adult, and they wanted me, to strictly focus on that. I thought in doing that, it took away from my story, so that's why I didn't do it.
yeah, those fantasy elements are more popular on that demographic. So, do you have like an advice for avoiding burnout? I mean, you mentioned like continue, never stop, but some people will face this eventually.
Well, when I say never stop, I mean, don't take, I don't like taking days off, but I mean, when I'm finished for the day, then I try to enjoy myself. I mean, I think it's very important that you have another life, that you do stuff, away from this desk, or else, I'll just be locked in my office, sitting at this desk forever. But you got to get up, you got to go out, you got to meet people, you got to talk to people. And when I go out and I meet people and I talk to people, I don't talk about books. I don't talk about my writing. I talk about other stuff because that actually helps my writing. The more I know about the world and everything else, the better it is for my writing. So you got to get out. You got to go. You got to do stuff. You got to live a life. You can't just sit in front of the computer writing all day. You will get burnt out.
Yeah, that's actually true. Can you tell us a bit about your future plans? Like, are you planning to going to a signing event?
Yes, they have. Like I said, I just got with this publisher less than a month. They have told me they're going to put me all over the place, all over the country, doing book signings and stuff like that. Also, and I haven't told a lot of people about this, but you're going to be one of the first. There's been a lot of interest to take this to make it a TV show, so I have been kind of working on that as well.
Yeah, I can visualize that as a TV show. After I read the synopsis,
Yeah,
yeah, I can see it.
and so I'm written a couple of the episodes. I've developed a Bible, put a lookbook together, had some meetings, and we're going to see what happens after this third and final novel comes out.
Yeah. So, what platforms can people use to buy your books digitally?
Right now, it's just Amazon, but after the re-release, which will be in a couple of weeks, probably about a month, when the publisher takes over and they do it, it's going to be on everything. It's going to be released worldwide, everywhere, on everything. So right now, I'd actually tell people not to buy it because I haven't put your covers on it yet, It hasn't been remastered yet.
I'm
so-
sure some people will like to have like the previous version for comparison and collection eventually.
You think so?
Yeah, maybe if you're a true fan.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, right now you can get it on Amazon. You can get it at Barnes and Noble. But in about a month, you'll be able to get it everywhere. It'll be everywhere.
I can see it. Well, Derek, thank you so much for coming to another episode of Writing Inspiration with Markee Books. This was Dan Ricoberti. Wish you a nice day. Thank you, Derek, for accompanying us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, bye.